Namaste, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to Namaste Today in the Zodiac Weather. My name is Stepº14. Witecki. I am the sensei to Sirius joy, here to stand in my heart and walk in the light. I am so grateful to walk by your side today. I am love casting live in 5 dimensions on the beautiful planet temple of Gaia for Friday, December 5th, 2014. And this Namaste will also guide you through the weekend. We are upon a beautiful winter full moon, my friend, in Gemini in the next 24 hours. But before we get there, we may have a little breakdown. Step 13 rules the day, and the human collective conscious right now is skating out onto some thin ice. Thin ice meaning these beliefs that we've been operating under are now expired. It is time to upgrade our operating system, upgrade our belief structure. This is collectively, and this is also, of course, individually. In fact, it's from each individual that changes their sphere of influence that the world changes. But this weekend is the change. And today, there might be something you slip on that causes a bit of a breakdown. Very likely, in fact, but not in a bad way. Just something going wrong and revealing something you haven't seen before. So be prepared for the unexpected today, and be prepared to observe more than to push or even participate. You just want to kind of learn and go. But before we get into the architecture of that incarnation, let's first prepare by taming our brain with the phrase of the day. I love and trust my beliefs and all the adventures they bring. I love and trust my beliefs and all the adventures they bring. Now we want to go with the flow, and I'm going to talk about here in the Sensei Sunrise and in Planet Soup what we're up against energetically. It's a pretty powerful weekend. We don't need our mind arguing with us or the smartass, so let's make sure everyone knows who's boss this weekend. Your heart and what you believe. I love and trust my beliefs and all the adventures they bring, which means the doors that they open and where we may turn next. Exciting stuff. So today the serious step of the day is step 13, and the way that architects is what you love, step 1, plus what you believe, step 3, equals I belong, step 4. And I belong, which is the quantum joyful prep or the quantum intention today, is what actually shifts things. We live in the law of attraction. The law of attraction uses love to attract. Now take a good look around the earth. How much of it do you see organized by love? Almost none. So when we get a lot of quantum force coming on the planet to stabilize, there's usually a lot of breakdown, at least now, before the age of Aquarius, and that breakdown does lead to some sort of revelation. So we're going to have some sort of new belonging, is what this ends up. Well, I thought I belonged to this group of beliefs, and now I believe I belong to that group of beliefs. And the more you're willing to deal with your own truth, the easier and quicker it will go. Now looking at the ruling chakras today, and thank you to my soul sister Kristen Ryder who sings this. I have to give her credit now and then. She's awesome and lights my life up like this when she sings. First of all, step 3, we have a full moon this weekend, and we are working, of course, on our belief structure with the sun in Sagittarius. Now belief comes right out of the third eye, so we are light casting forward. You might have extra heavy dreamy life right now, by the way. Sometimes people do. They tend to dream more than usual whenever Sag is set up, because that's the only time you take the time to explore future possibilities. Now when we add the full moon, it will actually be in Gemini. The moon is in Gemini today, and so that is a solar plexus, third chakra energy. So basically we got a ton of energy pulling between our third and our third eye. Okay? And this is the full moon. So we're trying to realign. Now the third chakra is ultimately 2 things: our thoughts, Gemini, and Cancer, our feelings. So we're going to talk about a full moon in Gemini pretty much hits the spot twice, right? It's in Gemini and it's also the moon, so it's hitting our feelings. So really it is, this is such a dynamic, powerful change, is because if we change our feelings about something and we change our vision, that's pretty much the key to changing major direction in life. And that's what we're going to talk about here now as we move forward. Let's first move on to Planet Soup. What is God cooking up with all those planets up there? That's the first thing I like to answer for my friends. And the sun is in Sagittarius at step 13. It will be 14 for the full moon and 15 on Sunday. And a full moon, if you don't know, is a tug-of-war between 2 planets in space, the moon and the sun, with the earth in the center. So this comes down to the same thing in our own life. Our consciousness will be pulled one way and pulled another, and we are forced to make a resolution between the two. Now, although the earth is in the middle, technically the Earth is conjuncting the moon. So the Earth is in Gemini, right? And the sun is in Sagittarius. I got it backwards there if I look at my mirror image. And so we'll talk a little bit about this, but the Earth, remember, is the I manifest planet. So when the Earth conjuncts the moon, we manifest our emotions into reality. So full moons are events where we manifest how we feel about things. Not always what's most logical or what's best or what's highest or spiritual, but how we feel. So it's very important to manage our feelings in a full moon. Now this is the beautiful grand trine that is lit up. It looks like an alien symbol now when you look at all the things lined up. The full moon, of course, is this tug of war, but when you apply it to this grand trine in fire, you can see that this full moon is going to powerfully affect more than just the two signs that are involved. It's going to affect Jupiter in Leo and Uranus in Aries. The other thing that's fascinating is the full moon, which is tomorrow, is actually a step 14 full moon, which means it's a Mercury-ruled full moon. And so on the day that it's a Mercury-ruled full moon, that's the one day Mercury will conjunct the sun. And then tomorrow Mercury's ahead of the sun. Isn't that amazing? So we have basically, what does that mean? That this whole thing comes down to changing your mind about something at the top of the soul pyramid here. Changing your mind. Or I would say reframing your mind. And I'll talk what I mean about that in the Sensei Sunrise. So first of all, it's important to know with the moon in Gemini, which is Friday and Saturday, that mind games trigger feelings and feelings trigger mind games. You've got to separate your kids inside of your consciousness. If your mind wants to pick on your feelings, you tell that smartass to be quiet and you go nurture the baby, okay? Don't let the two fight. We got other things to figure out, but you'll be prone to arguments, and a full moon in Gemini is probably the most argumentative full moon there is. Now Uranus, which is 1/3 of the grand trine, is at step 12 Aries. Okay, so step 12 adds to a 3. What's 3? Jupiter or Sagittarius. So Uranus is innovating our strength as it relates to our beliefs. Pretty cool the way it's tied in. But wait, there's more. Jupiter is at 22 Leo. What's 22? It's a 4, which is Uranus. So I find this a lot in astrology where on a crucial day, this planet is talking to that planet's talking to that planet. Everyone's making planetary gravitational love, and that is certainly the truth here. Now, Jupiter at 22 degrees is pushing us to have a quantum breakthrough when it comes to our heart's intentions. And today, this is all about the quantum breakthrough is basically that your heart wants something. Are your beliefs aligned to serve the heart, or are your beliefs not aligned to serve the heart? That's really what the big grand trine question is. And then Saturn has just moved to step 28 in the last 24 hours, which means that we are officially manifesting our emotional boundaries. Now, when I say manifesting, I mean we are going to keep these boundaries for a while. So if you tell somebody that you don't like whipped cream on your sundae over the weekend, everyone will assume for the next 30 years that you don't like whipped cream on your sundae, okay? That's going to be kind of the way it works. It's the default emotional setting. So be very conscious of how you respond to your own feelings. Be very conscious of where your own emotional limits are. Be very conscious and really be sure to live up to them. And when I say live up to them, I mean through Christmas Eve is what the planets say. Okay? So let's now dive into the architecture of this with the Sensei Sunrise. This is a full moon in Zurich if you're interested. I love pictures. So the Sensei Sunrise is about step 13 in Sagittarius, and I want to give you a little help or a little assistance on how this kind of builds up in the architecture of incarnation. First of all, the sun today, is at step 13, which means that we are loving and trusting our beliefs, and the full moon is going to be just one more up at step 14. Tomorrow is step 14. So I'm going to talk through 13 and 14 today and prepare you for the full moon. Let's see here. Whoops, that's the wrong button. But maybe this one is. There we go. So first of all, the full moon is basically an I think change. All right. Before we change the way we think, we have today, which is step 13. So the basis of the conscious is you love and trust who you are. Before you go through the weekend, you got to love and trust your mirage, you got to love and trust your base philosophies, or your what I call your me-ligion, like your philosophy of living by, and love and trust yourself. Because this now from 10 above is work in the world. So if you don't have the 10 down, you're going to screw up the world work. That's the way it works. Then we go into our beliefs. Now, for practical matters, your belief is what your heart says about the matter. Okay? So no matter what you're manifesting, and in the Zodiac Weather, I'll be talking about where each of the 12 Zodiac signs are and how they are being affected by the full moon. But every one of you is believing real hard about something. Okay? And in essence, you have to stick to what your heart says about it and try to ignore what your mind says about it. That's the first setup. So what happens is today, in the next 24 hours before the full moon, if you follow your beliefs, the yellow brick road, then you will find that you belong over here. Well, if I believe in this, that means I'm a Democrat. Or if I believe in that, that means I'll end up over here. All right? So that is the spiritual work till Saturday, is to get honest with yourself, because if you don't get honest with yourself, then the full moon is pretty intense on top of that. All right? So then we move on to the full moon. On the full moon, we love and trust on Saturday who we are. And then we go to where we decided yesterday. Well, I'm a Democrat, or well, I'm this, or that means I'll have to leave the hospital, or I'll have to go there, right? And so once you accept and receive where else you belong, this ends up being a new connection, 5. So the 14 adds to a 5, and the full moon is in a 5, a new connection, and I think. You're basically going to reframe your old life in a new way. That's what the connection ends up being. You end up looking at it through a different framing. You end up looking at it from a different perspective. Now, since this is a full moon in Gemini, a lot of people, there's a lot, this is the one full moon where there's either a ton of arguing, bickering, mind game crap going on inside of you. There's a lot of hero monologues, you know, like when you see in a movie where the hero's like, you know why I killed your father? I mean, it's one of those times you just kind of go on and go on and go on. And that's the thing. It's this full moon can be misleading, and sometimes people don't get the point. So I'm going to give you the tips when we come back of what to look for. But in essence, as you're on the break, contemplate this. The full moon is going to be about letting go of an old belief and reframing your life from a new mental perspective, taking it from a new frame, a new intellectual connection to your own life. Think about where that may be, and we'll pick up from there after this. So what do you think your ideal mate is? You say he's not that into you? Find out why. You want to know how to push his buttons? I'll tell you. Introducing a new product here at SoulGarden.tv. It's called Secrets of Birthdays, the Love and Lust Report. You send us your date of birth, we send you a custom video that's all about you. This is a great way to understand who you're dating. If you're having a hard time, order a report. We'll tell you what they're into and why he's not that into you. Secrets of Birthdays, now live for purchase. Check out yours at secretsofbirthdays.com. And here we are at the soulmart.me trading post. Couple of things I'd like to point out. For one, if you buy a 1-hour reading right now for me through the Christmas season, you'll get a free 30-minute follow-up you can use through June 31st, 2015. You can also get a gift certificate. I make a great gift, and you can get a 1 hour for just $99. That's $40 off my normal price to help the gift of giving. Also, the Secrets of Birthdays Love and Lust Report is just $19.95, and this will tell you about how you are in love and who you law of attract, the types of people you law of attract. Even talks about, to some degree, where you end up teaching and where you end up learning in relationships. For more information, just navigate to secretsofbirthdays.com. And be sure to join our email list. I'm putting out secret coupon codes to my loyal list fans. If you go to soulmart.net, you'll be taken straight to the sign-up page. And of course, all the goodies that I offer for the holidays are available at soulmart.me. I thank you ahead of time. So this brings us now to today's Daily Gong. Today's Daily Gong, I want to talk about the full moon, that beautiful full moon that'll happen in the ice of December. And boy, we are starting to get the weather, are we not? In the United States anyways. And in essence, a full moon in Gemini means there's going to be a lot of dialogue going on. The dialogue's either going to be with you and you, or you and someone else. Lots of dialogue. Because what are we trying to get? We're trying to get to what our heart really believes. So here's a little piece of advice for how to pull it off this weekend. There's our wolf howl. Who is the one doing the listening? So someone actually passed this on to me in the last few days, and I want to pass it on to the public right away. Who is listening? So if you find yourself in an argument with your honey, right? It's not what your honey is saying. It's not what you're saying. It's who inside you is listening to him or her. Is it the wounded person in you listening to him and her? Is it your ego that's listening to the conversation? And if you're fighting with yourself this weekend, who's listening to you? What part of you is receiving the information? That part of you that is listening is the current frame of mind that you are in. And it's the frame of mind that the full moon is trying to knock you out of and knock you into a new one. So we're going to be manifesting a new frame of mind through the full moon and look at our same life from a different perspective. But the way you identify the flawed perspective is you try to figure out who's listening to the conversation, because our listening voice is actually what prejudices our thinking. We interpret, all right? So listen to who's listening. Now, it could be our ego, it could be our emotions, it could be our damaged person. What would be the ideal part of us to listen? Only one, my friend, your heart. Your heart, if you want to find your truth, needs to be the part of you listening. So if your heart is listening to your honey bicker, you're going to see it a different way. If your heart is listening to you bicker, you're going to see it a different way inside of yourself. You're going to see it the way of your truth. Because our heart is our truth. And really, everything in our life is meant to be framed around our heart. That's why the sun is I love and every planet rotates around it. The solar system is the soul's system. We are here to put our heart in the center. And this is an opportunity over the weekend to align your mind and your beliefs to those principles. But before you reframe your life, let's take a look at the moods of each of your brothers and sisters today and what they'll be reframing, starting with our Scorpios. Cloudy chance of storms for the Scorpios with the full moon. You're going to be reframing your personal emotional limits to change your values. So reframing limits to change values in the full moon. The step one's a Leo, sunny and social in this full moon. You are reframing where your heart belongs in order to increase your self-love. Step two's the Cancers. I almost said Capricorns. Showers, chance of storms, I'm afraid, for the Crabs. That's because you are reframing your ideas or feelings about faith in order to make reality better. The Sagittarius, step three, sunny and super sentimental with the moon full in Gemini. You are reframing long-term relationships or your perspective of long-term relationships in order to feel stronger. Step four is the Aquariuses. Sunny and super childlike with this moon in Gemini, but you are reframing your approach to how much you love yourself to change who you are in the world. So reframing self-love to change belonging in the world. Step five is the Geminis. Sunny and super cool with the moon full in their sign, but you are reframing your perspective of who you are or your strength in order to step into relationships differently. Step six, the Librans, cloudy and super pensive today and through the weekend, but you are reframing what you believe in order to have mental sanity. And I say sanity just because it's the best word, not that you're crazy, but just to feel sane, so you know. Step seven, the Pisces, cloudy chance of showers through the weekend. You're going to have to reframe your approach to your feelings in order to have that successful career. Step eight, the Capricorns, cloudy chance of anxiety through this full moon. That's because you have to reframe the way you look at reality in order to boost your faith. Step nine is the Aries. Sunny chance of some wicked attitude through the weekend, but you've got to reframe your thinking in order to step into what you believe. Step 10, the Tauruses. Cloudy chance of storms. Boo. But you've got to reframe what you value in order to start trusting life. And then finally the Virgos. The step 11, sunny and professional through the weekend, but you have to reframe your decision making and career in order to step into a more solid home and family. All right? Okay, so this brings us now to Lightworker Parade. I hope that helps you, my friends. First of all, on the Lightworker Parade, we have Venus Prime Health, a new segment. I noticed that the yogurt segment didn't get released, so it's yogurt and soda that you can talk about this weekend for Venus Prime Health. If you're watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe. It does help us with our relationship with them. On Facebook, you can also like us and be our friend by going to soulgarden.me. And don't forget, you can come and join our email list for special little prizes and things that I email out at soulmart.me. You can also go to soulmart.net, take you there as well. And the kindest thing you can do is to spread the Soul Garden chant to your friends and family, especially if they're having a hard time in this full moon. I hope this will be of service to them, and I'm grateful ahead of time to you. And this brings us to really our Soul Nirvana segment, which I'm going to change this. This is really rock gospel. That's what I've realized. This is rock gospel, man. And I believe in rock gospel. Don't you wish church was all rock gospel, incidentally? So I'm bringing up one of my favorite Sagittarius performers, okay? Someone you may not have crossed your mind for a while, and that is Tina Turner. She is a Sag, and Private Dancer was one of her songs that was very popular the last time Saturn went into Sag. So when Saturn went into Sag in 1985, she had a hit. So a lot of Sagittarius will have hits, incidentally. It's time for Sagittarius to be a hit. That starts Christmas Eve. But this is also kind of interesting because of the Private Dancer. I just thought it was a good full moon song, you know. Incidentally, she's got fantastic legs, doesn't she? She is a step 3 Grandmaster Sagittarius, if you're curious. So this is a woman who was born into a limited way of thinking. When you're a step 3 in early Sag, you're born into very like religious family, something very close-minded. But this, because you're a Grandmaster, you get out of it. And one interesting thing about her story is she found Buddhism, the same Buddhism that I actually practice, at the time that Ike was beating her up, and she opened her mind, started chanting, and boom, she became the Tina Turner we know today. So kudos to Sag ladies and their fantastic legs. That's just a general trend I've noticed, and I hope you have a fantastic journey through the full moon, my friend. Reframe your life and mind around your heart. I promise you, you won't regret it. I love you. I'll see you back on Monday. Until then, live, love, be. This is just so ironic. So